Hey guys! So, I told you that I'd keep up with the Star Trek films and talk to you when I get to them. Well, I watched Star Trek 6 last year and I did not make a video about it. I didn't I didn't talk about it because reasons. Just I don't even have a good excuse for this. So, I really did want to talk about it. I love talking Trek. I really liked this film. And yes, I did watch it last year and I'm only talking about it now, but better late than never. Okay, Star Trek films, I've seen, for the original cast, I've seen 1 through 6, but I skipped 5. I did not see 5. I have not heard good things, but I was told to approach that the way some people approach the episode Spock's Brain. If you approach it in a so bad it's good way, you have a lot of fun. For the movies, Wrath of Khan I know is the best, but I personally have a soft spot. I like Search for Spock a lot, and just because I really like the character moments, and I have a soft spot for the motion picture. I know it's not a great film, and there's definitely things about it that bog it down. I really hate the costumes in it with a few exceptions. You know, Spock's black robe is really nice, and Kirk gets this really nice white shirt with some nice insignias on it, but otherwise they look like Band-Aids. They look like walking, talking Band-Aids. What's with all the beige? But what I like about the motion picture is that, oh yeah, and it also gets bogged down by needless exposition shots, trying to show off the VFX. It comes at the expense of the story and the pacing, and I had to fast forward a lot. But it has some really nice character moments, and I really like that it has a cerebral element, this philosophy and what it means to have knowledge and what it means to pursue knowledge, but at the expense of, living your life, and knowledge versus feeling, logic versus emotion. And it had such an emotional, philosophical weight to it in that last third. I wish they expanded on it. I wish it was building up to this more so, but that last third is really interesting. I like the ideas. I like the themes. It has a real nice cerebral element to it that was also such a big part of Star Trek. It's also something I really like about Star Trek. And the movies, I know, ramp it up, have more of the action, and they're great. The stories are great. They have good character moments, but I do feel that the movies are missing some of that philosophy that the show had. But they're not bad by any means. They're just different. That being said, I really like Star Trek 6 a lot. It was fun. I'm obviously a sucker for a murder mystery, and that's very much what this was. And the big thing I really like about this is that in so many franchises, it's building up to a war. It's building up to a war, stopping a war. I mean, this kind of is too, but this is building up to peace. And you're seeing in this people, oh, by the way, spoilers, there will be spoilers. In Star Trek 6, you see it's building up to a peace treaty between the Federation and the Klingons. But you're seeing people trying to sabotage it for political gain, for fear of change, for distrust of the other. All stuff that's very true in the real world and has a lot of real world applicability. So it makes sense here. They get a lot of psychology in there in a very interesting way, and it's not just the Klingon side that has these fears and these distrusts. It's very much the Federation too, and there are splinter groups from both sides who are trying to stop this, who for their own separate reasons don't want this to happen, but ultimately things go on the side of progress. I think that's great. It also has some of what I really, really like about Kirk's character, in that he walks that fine line. He has his prejudices too, and in fact, as a private conversation where he says he doesn't like the Klingons, and that's used against him in the murder trial, it is interesting. You see, he has these prejudices. He's on the verge of getting angry. He can hold grudges, but he does have that optimism and that compassion in there, and he always walks that fine line. At least he does walk that fine line. And it's kind of funny because in the show, he also, while he can get angry and he does walk that fine line, I find that very, very compelling about Kirk. Just that he feels emotions very, very strongly. He's very in tune with that, but at the same time, he can fall into these biases and have these blind spots when he really shouldn't, or he can have his anger and his need for vengeance cloud his judgment, and that's so much at the forefront in this movie. And you get to see a lot going on with Kirk that way. You get to see the strategist, you get to see him walk the line between compassion and vengeance, and you get to see the compassionate, optimistic side. That's really great. That's fantastic. I really like that about Kirk's character, and it's done very well here, and it's very much a continuation in the best way of what the show was. And I really like that. Plus, because you do get to see, hey, things do progress within this world. It expands on this world, and it's a very engaging world. You know, obviously, Trekkies, we've been around. I mean, Trekkies as a fandom has been around for such a long time, and that's great. And yeah, it's cool to see the story continue with time and with historical events and with the characters. It doesn't pretend that these are the same, that the characters are in the same place they were when the show was airing. And I like that. They adapt to the times and they change, and it's as we change. It's very much great that way. I really liked that the questions they were dealing with, Kirk's arc was very strong, and I really liked, again, sucker for a murder mystery. I really, really liked that it was people in the Federation too were involved, and that is not always easy to deal with when it's people on your side who want to do some very awful things, or people you're close to, or people who you think you're on the same page with. So I like that it's not just, Klingon bad, Federation good. There is more subtlety. There are more layers to different characters, and there are complexities to them that you don't see in a lot of other stories. But when they're there, you really appreciate it, because people aren't so black and white, and people can easily fall into these traps, but we ultimately make the choice whether we do or not. And I like that. And progress does happen, slowly, but it does. And that's what I liked about this. This was a great send-off to the original cast. It was really great to see. Yes, I did cry at the end, very much so, because I thought, oh, this is the send-off they deserve, and I'm so happy to see this. This means so much to me. Yeah. Yep, I don't care. I cried at the end of this. It was emotional, okay? So I'd probably revisit this film. I do. Yeah, Star Trek just has so much to offer that way. It is, I admit, I have a harder time getting into some of the spin-offs, but I so like the original so much, so I just watched that. And of the spin-offs, I think the one I would like the most is Voyager. And if I watch it, if I get to it, I'll tell you guys. I've also heard good things about Deep Space Nine, and the one episode I did watch, which was the episode of the Trials and Tribulations, where they go back to stopping a murder plot and they use a lot of the footage from Trouble with Tribbles, and they integrate the new cast with the old footage so well. It's a great episode, and it doesn't rely too much on the gimmick. It's a good story in its own. I did like the characters. I liked Captain Sisko, and I liked Jadzia Dax. That being said, but I still, the love in my heart absolutely is for TOS, because I like the cerebral element, and I really like, it makes me think, but it also has such a sense of fun to it, and it has such a deep understanding of humanity at its best, at its worst. The little things, the big things. It doesn't take itself too seriously. I love the 60s cheese, definitely appeals to me. I love the colors. I love the hokiness. It's got a sense of fun to it. You get to see the characters just having nice moments. in the lounge or just enjoying a game of chess or having a coffee. But you also see the big stuff too. They balance that out really well. The big, the small, it captures humanity very, very well. Did everything age well? No. But there's so much good in it to take from it. And if you don't like TOS, I know a lot of people who get more into the spin-offs, but yeah. So Star Trek VI is such a good send-off to the original cast. It is a great story. It's a fun murder mystery. It's got a lot of good stuff with Kirk's character. It expands on the world. It's definitely evolved with the characters, and that's all great. And yeah, it's emotional. I'm so emotional, okay? I like Trek a lot. Live long and prosper. This is a fun film. I will probably revisit it in the future. And I will continue talking about Star Trek because it's fun to analyze.